Mario Kart 64's worst course is Banshee Boardwalk. Compared to the other tracks on this list, this one's very poorly designed. It's supposed to be a ghost house, but it's too dark to take in that aesthetic. It just looks like a boardwalk at night. One of its prominent designs is a giant Cheep jumping. I like challenge in video games, but I don't really want the challenge to come from bad design. It feels like the parts of the track where you turn or jump don't really make sense where they are. Even if you get better at racing on this track, it's not fun to race on in the first place. The Mario Kart that released before Mario Kart 64 was Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo. That's one of the worst video games that I've ever played, so I'll give Banshee Boardwalk this. It's much more fun to play than the entirety of Super Mario Kart. Though, on its own, I'd give Banshee Boardwalk a 4 out of 10, and it's the only course to get that. I think Wario Stadium is actually better than Banshee Boardwalk because it's less annoying, though it's more boring because of how repetitive it is. It's so repetitive that Mario Kart World actually shortened the track. I understand why, because why would you keep the whole thing? It's mostly just a bunch of muddy hills and a bunch of pictures of Wario's face. This is supposed to be a monster truck rally, but for some reason you don't get to do a lot of cool tricks. There's a cool speedrunning trick you can do in this course, but that's not really something the designers intended, so I can't really credit the course for that. Maybe if this was smaller from the start, it'd be more interesting, but I don't know why the course is so wide if there's only 8 racers here. This stage gets a 5 out of 10. Wario is an awesome character, but unfortunately his very first race course is mediocre. Yoshi Valley is better than Wario Stadium because it just has more going on. Though in saying that, I'm not really too interested in its gimmicks. A track where you don't know the placement of the other racers is an interesting gimmick, but I don't usually notice that when I'm playing it. I will say the remake does have less of an idea of how this gimmick should work, but it's not that I would notice it anyway. When I'm racing on this track, I don't usually focus on which pathway would be my favorite. I just try to get through it as fast as possible, as you naturally would. Not that I don't like this track. Using the Starman ability is really cool here. And tumbling down the track when you fall is funny, but it does get a little tiring. This is a fine course. I would give it a 6 out of 10. Yoshi Valley is not bad, but I'm just not personally interested in this course. Moo Moo Farm has less going on than Yoshi Valley, but it's better designed. I suppose there was less that could go wrong. The design of this course is really simple. It's only ever been re-released in Mario Kart DS, but if you were to remake it, maybe you could make it more interesting. I do appreciate the placement of the Monty Moles that pop out of the holes, because if you try to cut corners, you'll get a faster time, but you also have to make sure you don't get hit by the Monty Moles. The cows are really cute. I like how they just look like circles. And the track itself, I don't understand why there's so much mud. I know it's a farm, but I don't know if farms would have this much mud. Maybe put some grass here and there, that would have been more interesting. There isn't much else to say about this course, it's kind of boring. But yeah, it gets a passing grade, 6 out of 10. Something being boring doesn't necessarily make it bad in my opinion. Sherbet Land is similarly simple to Moo Moo Farm, but it has more going on. It has a nice cave and nice colors for the course. There's a shortcut in this stage that I never use, even though it might be useful. And this course is still just a very simple circle shape, which I wouldn't prefer. The cave really elevates this course to being much more interesting. Later on this list, there's another snow course that just has more elements that make it more interesting than Sherbet Land, but for what it's worth, it's a fine stage, but there's not much to talk about. Mario Raceway is simply much better compared to Sherbet Land and Yoshi Valley because it has a lot of things going on, and a lot of their gimmicks just work and don't usually fail. Though I do mostly like this course for it being aesthetically cool. There's not really a lot toward the gameplay. The course doesn't really have that much to it. I like the spinning Mario art sign. I like the 2D art. Looks cool. I don't know why this isn't the first course of the Mushroom Cup, but yeah. Considering how open this stage is, I'd imagine there's a lot of strategies on how to get to the finish line as fast as possible. But in general, the stage is okay. It's pretty cool. Mario Raceway and Toad's Turnpike get a 6 out of 10, but the reason Toad's Turnpike is a better stage than Mario Raceway is because its gimmicks just work better while being interesting. Having a course where you have to finish the lap going through a highway while dodging cars is really interesting, and I also like the colors that this stage uses. The kind of atmosphere it gives off is very nostalgic. I love it because it reminds me of when I was a kid being driven down a highway, and I was falling asleep in the back of the car just watching the lights pass by me. Very pleasant. I'm very happy a course like this could recreate such a thing. And the mirror mode is interesting in the fact that the cars, instead of driving alongside you, are driving toward you. And this is interesting because beyond just flipping the course, it also is just changing the function of some obstacles, which they don't really do that in mirror mode anymore, I don't think. Dodging cars is cool. I hear Diddy Kong makes a cameo in this stage. That's nice. And yeah, this is a pretty good stage, you know, very well made. But I think I'd still give it like a 6 out of 10. When I give something a 7 out of 10, I mean it. So let's see what gets a 7. We'll get into that quite soon. Up next is Bowser's Castle. I have many more good memories with Bowser's Castle compared to the previous entries on this list. Can't talk about it without mentioning Marty, the thwomp that's just imprisoned in this jail cell. And using an invincibility star on the other thwomps is also really cool. I think the colors that set the tone and atmosphere of the stage are really nice and very well thought out. In this area here, there's a split path, and it makes more sense than Yoshi Valley, probably because it's less intrusive and distracting. And the Bowser statue here is really cool, though how it works as an obstacle, I have a hard time understanding. It's not likely to get hit by the fireballs that it shoots out. I try not to let nostalgia influence my opinions, but I do think this is objectively better than Toad's Turnpike, at least by a bit. 6 out of 10. Koopa Troopa Beach is more fun to play on than Bowser's Castle, even though Bowser's Castle has more interesting things going on. The way I see it, I think I prefer something that's more consistently good compared to something that's very good in a lot of areas but has parts that I can't ignore. This beach is a simple course, but I do like racing on this one. I like the waterfall shortcut here, even if I'm not very good at going through it. I like the little crabs that are crawling on the beach, and I find it weird that like when you get invincibility and you just crash into a wall or a tree, then you just lose the invincibility. That's not how invincibility works in any Mario game, or by definition just being invincible. So it's just kind of weird this is the only game to ever do that. There's also this big ramp here on the side, and I don't ever use it, and even if I were to, it's probably not going to save you that much time than just going through the race. I'm pretty sure you would need to use items here anyway, but overall, Koopa Troopa Beach is fine. 6 out of 10. Choco Mountain is better than Koopa Troopa Beach because drifting on this stage just feels better. I like the fog, it looks really nice. I think the rocks that you gotta dodge are cool. When you play this course in extra mode, it actually has differences, I'm pretty sure. Like, I think there are metal bars on the side that are removed, and the hills at the end are pretty cool to jump off of. This is called Choco Mountain, implying that the mountain could be edible, or maybe it's just called that because it looks like chocolate. I don't know, would I eat this map? If the racers weren't driving on it, then yeah, of course. I like the idea of locations being edible. Alright, I'm getting hungry. 6 out of 10. Moving on. DK Jungle Parkway has cooler gimmicks than Chocolate Mountain. Its sailboat jump is really cool. I like when you go inside this hill, you get like a shortcut if you jump up it. And the colors are nice and nostalgic. You know what's weird? Somebody's throwing durians at the racers in this race if you go out of bounds. I don't know what that's about. Just like how earlier we were talking about how Wario had his first ever course, Donkey Kong's first ever course, Diddy Kong is featured in Toad's Turnpike, but not here. That's, I don't understand the priorities there. I think now we're starting to see some pretty well made courses beyond just being okay, though I think I'll still give it a 6 out of 10, though the 7s will be coming quite soon. Frappe Snowland has more charm than DK Jungle Parkway. The snowmen are really nice along with the colors. In general, snow is just really cool in terms of atmosphere. I always like seeing it in games, especially in real life. Whenever I'm trying to go through the track to get a faster time, I feel like what they consider to be out of bounds is a little strict here, but in general, this is a very cozy stage. I like going through it. 6 out of 10. Now, these last 4 on the list are 7s, and they are what I consider to be Mario Kart 64's best courses. Luigi Raceway is really nice. You know, for being the first course in the game, I say it sets the tone for the entire game perfectly, along with being a very well-made course. I like that giant TV. Looking at a TV while I'm playing this on my TV is always interesting. It's just kind of nice to see. The blimp is cool and how it drops down to give you like one little item. I don't usually reach it all the time, but I do like it. It looks nice. It's very free, it's open, it's cool. This nice tunnel also gives me nostalgic memories and is nice. And it being themed after Luigi, how fitting. Luigi's an awesome character. 7 out of 10. I was really hoping Rainbow Road would be the best course in this entire game, but so far it's only number 3. It's interesting because Mario Kart 8's version of Rainbow Road Nintendo 64 is actually really, really good, and it might be my favorite course in the entire series, but this one, it's a bit long. Not that it's not pretty. It's a very pretty stage with a nice song playing, and I think it would be more interesting if there were more like obstacles in it. It's a pretty easy stage to go through. it's pleasant. It's kind of interesting. It's just pleasant. There's not really much going on here, but that's actually okay. That's why Royal Raceway is a much better stage. We all remember the castle, how this basically just turns into a 3D platformer, but with a kart. And I don't know why you would want that. Mario 64 is on the same console, but that's just what makes it so fun. I also appreciate the huge jump, which is really cool. There's some steep cliffs, but in general, there's a lot of cool memories with this one. I really like it, especially when you're just having fun, not really doing anything in particular around the castle. In general, that's what sums up Mario Kart 64 to me personally. While it's a solid game, and I definitely appreciate it for being the first good Mario Kart, or I'd say Double Dash is the first good Mario Kart, but this one being just at least a passing grade, I don't really appreciate it that much as a kart racer. I more so appreciate what I get out of it from just wandering around in this game, just looking around at the polygons and all the interesting things that this game has. It's not really what was intended, but, you know, it's still fun. A course from Mario Kart 64 that represents everything great about the game would be Calamari Desert. The train is awesome. How the computer players react to it, the tunnel that doesn't really have anything to do with the course, really fun to go into. And it's very free, and there's almost no invisible walls here. And above all, the stage is genuinely fun to race on. I really like it. Calamari Desert is Mario Kart 64's best course.